Delegation, the last class we had completed delegation. Delegation means sharing your authority, or you can say the work, with your subordinates. There are three elements of delegation. First is authority, second is responsibility, and third is accountability. Today we are going to proceed with the same, that is why delegation is needed, and last but not the least is decentralization. There is one very common question which comes from delegation, that when you are delegating your work, it divides into two. And when you are sharing your decision making power, it multifolds into many. So इसमें मतलब जब ये ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है तो that means you are giving the importance of delegation and decentralization. Means when you are sharing your work, all the managers cannot do every work. Yes, the head of the department is responsible for the entire gamut of activities that has to be performed by that particular group, that particular division, that particular department. Means ये तो आपका level by level चलता रहता है. So now the HOD may not be able to, or he cannot perform everything. He may perform, but the efficiency will not come. So what does he do? He would be only focusing on the very core area जहाँ उसके expertise की ज़रूरत है. Whereas the other one, he would be just delegating to other people, that is जो उसके subordinates हैं उनके साथ. तो why it is needed, मतलब delegation क्यों ज़रूरत होती है? Delegation ensures that subordinates perform the task on behalf of the manager, thereby reducing his workload and providing him with more opportunity to concentrate on important matters, as I said. So what will happen? Very first is it will have the effective management. क्यों? क्योंकि everyone is having some expertise. Everyone is having certain talents. By empowering the employees, जब मैं अपना काम जो है दूसरे को दे रही हूँ तो उसका मतलब ये है कि मैं उस पर ट्रस्ट कर रही हूँ. There is a trust factor if I'm delegating my work to one of the subordinate. That means I'm empowering him. Now the managers are able to function more efficiently. जो main manager होगा, he would concentrate on the important one. Freedom from doing routine work provides them with opportunity to excel in new areas. Maybe he is getting new ideas, new projects. Employee development. As a result of delegation, employees get more opportunities to utilize their talent, and this may give rise to latent abilities in them. क्योंकि एक manager एक जगह पर stick नहीं होता. There is always a hierarchy. If a person has entered into a company as a senior manager, definitely उसका scope होता है उसके ऊपर जाने का, general manager, regional manager करके. तो maybe उसके लिए scope होगा, तो वो जब जगह खाली होगी, तो what happens is normally in a company, जो immediate subordinate होता है, he is considered. It allows them to develop those skills which will enable them to perform complex tasks and assume those responsibilities which will improve their career prospects. It makes them better leaders and decision makers. Thus, delegation helps by preparing better future managers. As I said, that a person will not be stagnant on one particular position. Definitely उसका जो है promotion होगा या फिर वो नौकरी भी छोड़कर जाएगा. तो जो immediate employees होते हैं, those who have been routinely working on the same line, they are considered. Delegation empowers the employees by providing them with a chance to use their skill, gain experience, and develop themselves for higher positions. Not only within the company, they can even shift on to other companies, to other organizations. Motivation. Yes, when you are giving your work, what I said in the very first is हम trust को देखते हैं. We are trusting the employees with the work. We are not giving them the work, क्योंकि एक मैनेजर दूसरे सबॉर्डिनेट को काम नहीं दे रहा है, काम तो कंपनी देती है. So when a manager is entrusting the employee, तो इसका मतलब है कि उसे उस पर्टिकुलर एम्प्लॉय पर उस पर्टिकुलर काम के लिए ट्रस्ट है. तो ऑन द अदर हैंड जो एम्प्लॉय होगा, he would be motivated. Whenever we are getting the work, see, in a company what happens is we may be having promotions, but promotion is not the only way of empowering you. If you are given additional responsibilities, that is also a recognition, that is also a motivation. अगर मैं एक काम की जगह दो काम कर रही हूँ, maybe I am not paid, but if I am given that trust, if I am given that work, that means my management has trust on me. मैं motivate होती हूँ. Delegation helps in developing the talents of the employees. It also has a psychological benefits. When a superior entrust, आप देखिए the word has been used, entrust, means you are trusting the person with the responsibility. It is not merely sharing the work, but involves trust on superior's part and commitment on the part of subordinate. Responsibility for work builds the self-esteem of an employee and improves his confidence. He feels encouraged and tries to improve his performance with. In many companies, a particular person may be looking for one project. तो बाद में कंपनीज के जो मैनेजर होते हैं वो कहते हैं कि आप एक क्या, आप दो प्रोजेक्ट करो. Similarly, a person may be working on one particular line. उसको इंटरेस्ट किया जा रहा है. No, you can also look into this. तो such relations in the companies जो है, that builds up the employees' moral. While I was working in my in LPS, so definitely I was a teacher for class 11 and 12. But 9th and 10th की English मेरे पास थी. उसके अलावा I was also having lots of responsibilities. Like I was हमारे यहाँ पर जो houses होते थे, तो houses के incharges की मैं incharge थी. Means all the houses under me worked. So that was, even though that was an additional responsibility. एक तरफ I have to look after 4 classes, but I had the additional responsibilities. But then I had any seminar in our school was prepared and presented only by me. All the seminars which were pertaining to CBSE was attended only by me. So that was all an additional responsibility. हालांकि उसमें क्या हुआ, मेरा confidence built up होता था. And whenever we had the annual function, it was my duty and responsibility to find out the chief guest and go and invite him. These all definitely helped me out to, मतलब मेरे को खुद को भी नहीं पता था that I am so talented that I also have these kinds of, मतलब कि हाँ, but that helps us. In many companies, what they do is, आप एक लाइन कर रहे हो, maybe you are looking after textiles, तो आपको बोला जाता है आप textiles के साथ में जो है, मतलब कि if you are looking into women's wear, आप children wear भी add कर लो. Your salary may not be increased, but yes, the trust the company is giving is itself a moral boost. Facilitation of growth. Delegation helps in the expansion of an organization by providing a ready workforce. जो मैंने अभी आपको एक एग्जांपल दिया था कि अगर हमारा मतलब मैनेजर छोड़कर जा रहा है या नया एक वेंचर स्टार्ट होता है, तो जो हमारे पास ऑलरेडी ट्रेन्ड मैनेजर्स होते हैं, we can help them, we can ask them to take over those projects. And it really happens in the corporate world. कोई भी नया ब्रांच शुरू हुआ in any other, even it is not within the country, maybe outside, तो वो कहते हैं कि no, this person is trained, तो इसको वहाँ पर जो है as a branch manager भेज दो. Trained and experienced employees are able to play significant roles in the launch of new projects by replicating the work ethos they have absorbed from existing units in the newly set up branches. जो मैंने भी आपको बताया that they are नया ब्रांच हुआ, that may not be within the country, it may be even outside. Basis of management hierarchy. Delegation of authority establishes superior subordinate relationship, which are the basis of hierarchy of management. It is a degree and flow of authority which determines who has to report to whom. क्योंकि वो ज़रूरी होता है, जब हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर बनाते हैं तो हमारा एक होता है अथॉरिटी टू रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रिलेशनशिप. तो दैट इज हाउ हमारा पावर जो है वो डेलीगेट होता है कि किस पोजीशन पे किसको कितना पावर मिलेगा. बेटर कोऑर्डिनेशन. व्हाई? The elements of delegation, that is authority, responsibility and accountability. Authority matlab the person who has the power to order other. Responsibility, the person who is supposed to do that task. And the outcome of the task is accountability. This helps to avoid overlapping of duties and duplication of effort as it gives a clear picture. क्योंकि हमारा hierarchy है. Such clarity in reporting relationship helps in maintaining and developing effective coordination among the departments. काम जब हम बोलते हैं scalar chain, we had done this scalar chain, तो हमें ये पता था scalar chain के अंदर we had made one this कि in this A is there, यहाँ X है, यहाँ B है, यहाँ Y है. तो हमें ये भी पता है कि किस रैंक पर किसके पास कितना पावर है. And there is a clear line of communication also. So when there is a coordination, when the departments have to work with each other, they know how to coordinate, where to coordinate. That is why delegation is important. Till now, delegation's importance has never come in the paper. Elements of delegation has definitely come, and there is one very important question which I have been repeatedly telling, that when we multiply the work, it is matlab ki it gets into 2, and when the decision is given, then it becomes what you call as multifold. So decentralization. Now, what is decentralization? Please do not confuse it with delegation. Delegation सिर्फ आप अपने काम को एक limited scope के अंदर you are giving the authority, the decision to take. Whereas decentralization is a organization's policy. Delegation एक must है. Delegation is must, whereas decentralization is not a must. Delegation का मतलब है, if मान लीजिए आप एक you are in topmost position, means you are the HOD. Definitely you are not going to do all the work yourself. So some people, यानी कि आपके नीचे कुछ hierarchical level में subordinates होंगे. So you will be distributing some of the work to them according to their position. And that is important because a single person cannot achieve everything efficiently and effectively. Whereas decentralization is the decision of the management at the top, that whether they want to give the decision making power to the lowest level. डेलीगेशन तो विद इन द डिपार्टमेंट रहता है, एचओडी ने अपने नीचे दिया, उसके नीचे दिया. लेकिन डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन इज कंप्लीटली द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस पॉलिसी. मेनी ऑफ द कंपनी डोंट अडॉप्ट डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन. दे डोंट वांट देयर लोअर लेवल, सुपरवाइजरी लेवल या उनसे नीचे जो है, दे आर हैविंग सर्टेन पावर्स. उनका मानना होता है ऑल द पावर्स शुड बी वेस्टेड विद द टॉप लेवल. एंड जो मैनेजमेंट आपका जो है डिसाइड करता है, दैट शुड बी ओनली इम्प्लीमेंटेड. The government of India is an example, the public sectors in India is an example of centralized management. Most of the decisions are taken by the topmost bureaucrats or maybe the ministers. And जो नीचे आपके public sector में जो minister मतलब कि जो बाकी लोग होते हैं, they have to just follow the orders. They cannot take any decision at their own level. Whereas most of the MNCs are following the decentralization, where the authority is given to the lowest level with limited power. मतलब उनको पता है कि वो उस पावर के अंदर ही काम कर सकते हैं. So decentralization is an optional policy. Delegation is must. In many organizations, the top level management plays an active role in taking all the decisions, while there are others in which this power is given to even the lowest level of management. Those organizations in which the decision-making authority lies with the top are called as centralized organization. और जो नहीं करते हैं, those who are delegating it to the lowest level, उनको हम कहते हैं decentralization. Decentralization explains the manner in which decision-making responsibilities are divided among the hierarchical level. That means decentralization refers to delegation of authority throughout all the levels. डेलीगेशन में तो ये जो मैनेजर है, जो हेड है, वो बता रहा है कि किसने कौन सा काम करना है. लेकिन डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन में हर लेवल का जो अथॉरिटी होता है वो एस्टैब्लिश कर दिया जाता है. Decision making authority is shared with lower levels and is consequently placed nearest to the point of action. Means the decision making authority is pushed down chain of command. When decisions taken by lower level are numerous as well as important, an organization can be regarded as greatly decentralized. Centralization and decentralization are relative as seen from existing status. And a company can be centralized in certain areas, it can be decentralized in certain areas. A company may be adopting a centralized in the beginning, they may later on shift to decentralization. An organization is centralized when the decision-making authority is retained by higher management, whereas it is decentralized when it is given to the lower. Complete centralization would imply concentration of all the decision-making power at the apex. Such a scenario would obviate the need for a management hierarchy. वहाँ तो आपको नीचे managers की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. On the other hand, complete decentralization would imply delegation of all decision-making power to the lower level of hierarchy, and this would obviate the need for higher managerial. तो both the scenario are unrealistic. क्यों? भाई अगर सारा मैंने ही लेना है तो मुझे तो नीचे मैनेजर्स की जरूरत ही नहीं है. आई विल मेक द वर्कर्स वर्क ऑन माय ओन हैंड. वेयरएज अगर मैंने सारे पावर्स इफ आई हैव गिवन टू ऑल द पीपल हु आर वर्किंग, तो मुझे उनको सुपरवाइज करने के लिए आई डोंट नीड एनी मैनेजर. An organization can never be completely centralized or completely decentralized. As I said, कुछ कंपनीज में हमेशा मतलब कुछ ऐसे काम होते हैं जो सेंट्रलाइज ही हो सकता है. प्लानिंग में you don't involve everyone. Planning the objectives of the company, planning the strategy of the company, you cannot involve everyone. Whereas आपके जो day to day functions होते हैं उसमें you have to involve, क्योंकि everywhere the top level management cannot come. तो जहां आपका day to day affairs है वहां पर you have to give the powers to the people who are actually working on that. As it grows in size and complexity, there is a tendency to move towards decentralized decision making. This is because in large organizations, those employees who are directly and closely involved with certain operations tend to have more knowledge than the top management. भाई जो उस एरिया में काम कर रहा है, जो उस प्रोजेक्ट पे काम कर रहा है, जो एक्चुअल वर्कफोर्स है, उसे ज्यादा नॉलेज होगा. So the power to take certain decisions should be given to them, which may only be indirectly associated with individual operation. So there is always a need for balance. Therefore, we can say every organization will be characterized by both centralization and decentralization. As I said, certain powers, certain decisions should not be decentralized. There are certain key decisions, certain confidential decisions which has to be taken only at the top level. Like आपकी auditing होती है, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि auditing के अंदर हम हर एक employee को can we take into them? No, it is not possible. Whereas आपका operations है, sales है, marketing है, वहाँ पर आप employees को involve कर सकते हो because they are the one who are actually dealing. So there will be some department where you might be having a centralized characteristic. There will be some department which will be having decentralized characteristics. इसमें आपका importance is very important. Delegation में you can leave it. Delegation में आपको elements को अच्छे से learn करना है, the 3 elements. But importance of decentralization is very important. Difference between decentralization and delegation may also be there. Decentralization is much more than a mere transfer of authority to the lowest level of management hierarchy. It is a philosophy that implies selective dispersal of authority because it propagates a belief that people are competent, capable, resourceful. They can assume the responsibility for the effective implementation of their decision. So this philosophy recognizes the decision maker's need for autonomy. The management, however, needs to be carefully select those decisions. जो मैंने आपको बताया कि हर decision हम lower level को नहीं दे सकते हैं. So we have to first of all see कौन से delegation को हम देंगे, कौन से decision को हम देंगे, कौन सा नहीं देंगे. First, why it is important? It develops initiative among subordinates. जैसे delegation में है, delegation का ही ये extended version है. Delegation में it is within a scope. The manager may or may not, लेकिन decentralization में everyone will be having some scope. This is because it promotes self-reliance and confidence. This is because lower managerial levels are given freedom to take their own decisions. They learn to depend on their own judgment because they are accountable for their decision. It also keeps in a state wherein they are constantly challenged and have to develop solutions to various problems. A decentralization policy helps to identify those executives who have necessary potential to become dynamic leaders. Develops managerial talent for the future. Formal training plays an important part in equipping subordinates with the skills that help them to rise in the organization. But also equally important is the experience that when they are given independence. Decentralization gives them a chance to prove their abilities and create a reservoir of qualified manpower. That is there in delegation also, because delegation ही है decentralization भी. लेकिन जब autonomy होता है कि this is entirely you are responsible, तो उसमें क्या होता है, you also अगर कोई problem होती है तो आप उसको tackle भी करते हो. तो you know how to tackle the problem. और managerial का एक सबसे बड़ा important aspect होता है not how to work but how to tackle the problems. So when the challenges come, you are able to, and if you are able to solve those challenges, you are also ready for the challenging positions through promotions. It helps to identify who may not be successful in assuming greater responsibility. That means It is a means of management education as an opportunity for trained manpower. जरूरी नहीं है कि आप सिर्फ MBA हो. In many companies, we don't have the MBAs also. Even the general graduates come to the topmost positions. And the reason is they gain it through the experience. MBA जो है हमारे मतलब कि in the real world, it is a new concept. No doubt, 1950s onwards, management MBA वगैरह जो है it came into. But in countries like India, it is completely a new project. Today we are having hundreds of management colleges. But look back to 1990s. How many colleges of MBAs were there? If a person in that era did MBA, that was a very great achievement. So how did those companies manage? तो उस वक्त में वो कंपनीज कैसे मैनेज करती थी? If they were not MBAs, if they were not IIMs, that is because of this kind of decentralization through the practical implementation. उनको ट्रेनिंग मिल जाती है. What we say, hands-on training. So they are approached, they are having the hands-on training, they get it. Quick decision making. The management hierarchy can be looked upon as a chain of communication. Scalar chain जो मैंने बोला. In centralized organization, because every decision is taken by the top management, the flow of information is slow because it has to pass from one level to another, and the response has to go from top to bottom, say bottom to top जाएगा. But in decentralization, it reduces the speed of it reduces the speed of decision making and also difficult for adapting a dynamic situation. Whereas in decentralization, decisions are taken at level which are nearest to the points of action. Nearest to the points of action मतलब जो आपका जिस लेवल पर आपको दिया गया है, the maximum authority you are able to take to the nearest one. And there is no requirement for approval from many levels. The process is much faster. There are less chances of information getting distorted because you don't have to go through long channels. आपका अप्रूवल आपका जो है बॉस दे रहा है. नियरेस्ट मतलब आपका बॉस दे रहा है. यू नीड टू टेक अ डिसीजन वेयर यू डोंट हैव, देन इमीडिएटली कौन है आपके पास? आपके ऊपर वाला बॉस. It is not going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 level. It is just going to the next level, the nearest point. So whatever the decision is, it is taken. Nowadays, what happens is in the banks, this one. If you are going to a bank, just it's a simple example. As a customer, you go to the bank. You want to apply for a loan. Now what happens? There is a limitation of how the loans are going to be sanctioned. So in such decentralization, what happens? Say this is the regional manager, then this is the बैंक मैनेजर एंड उसके नीचे जो भी आपका ब्रांच मैनेजर, एंड देन देयर इज वन मोर जनरल मैनेजर. नाउ व्हेन द पर्सन अप्रोचेस द बैंक फॉर लोन, each of these levels have their own authority, and if they have to cross that authority, उनका जो है they don't need to go to the regional level, they would go to the next level. For example, if a person is going to the bank for a loan of say 1 crore, now based on the inputs he has given, the documents he has given, the manager may not be able to sanction him complete 1 crore. he may be having the authority of maximum, say, 50 lakhs. Now what will happen when the customer is insisting कि नहीं मुझे तो 1 crore चाहिए, तो maybe he has some authority, 50 lakh है, तो what will happen is he will definitely next approach करेगा अपने branch manager, and if he is having the authority, then easily the decision will be taken and the loan will be dispersed to the customer. In a centralized organization, what happens is the entire जो डिसीजन है वो रीजनल मैनेजर ही ले सकता है. These branch managers और जो मतलब जनरल मैनेजर्स हैं, they are only supposed to go through the scrutinize the documents. उनको सिर्फ डॉक्यूमेंट्स को स्क्रूटिनाइज करना है, जो प्रोसेसिंग है, लोन प्रोसेसिंग है, वो करना है. लेकिन वेदर टू गिव द लोन और नॉट, ये सारे डिसीजन जो है दैट इज वेस्टेड विद रीजनल मैनेजर. सो इट विल टेक अ लॉन्ग टाइम, क्योंकि रीजनल मैनेजर के पास सिर्फ एक नहीं है, उसके पास उस रीजन के अंदर कितने ब्रांचेस हैं, सब क्या काम करना है. सो इट विल डेफिनेटली टेक अ लॉन्ग टाइम. Whereas in a decentralization, what happens is the decision is very quick, because whatever the decision has to be taken, that has to be taken within the branch. Relief to top management. अभी पीछे हमारे कई companies which were in the government of India sectors, PSUs, even the banks, they had lots of pressure. And this led to loss in many public sector companies. The reason is we have a centralized decision, हमारा late होता है, whereas when you come to the privates or when you are going to the MNCs, they are having a decentralized. So up many of the even the government of India is also adopting the decentralization, because they have to only जो top level होता है उनको उस काम पर ध्यान करना पड़ता है, which is very important for them. And they know when we have dispersed the powers to the lower level, they are going to do it because एक word उनके साथ में जाता है, और वो है ट्रस्ट के साथ, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के साथ, अकाउंटेबिलिटी. If the work is not going to be done, they are accountable. They are going to lose their jobs. तो उनकी accountability fix की जाती है. This accountability is fixed, and that therefore the work is done efficiently and effectively, and that is how the top level is relieved. Decentralization diminishes the amount of direct supervision exercised by a superior over the activities of a subordinate, because they are given the freedom to act and decide, albeit within the limits set by superior. Also, personal supervision is generally replaced by other forms of control. जो मैंने आपको बोला, उनकी accountability को fix कर दिया जाता है. Decentralization also leaves the top management with more time they can devote to important policy decisions rather than both policy as well as operational. अभी मैंने आपको बताया जितने भी आपकी प्लानिंग है, प्लानिंग में ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, पॉलिसी, स्ट्रेटजीज, दीज आर ऑल द कोर आइडियाज, यानी कि जिसके मतलब कि द मेन ऑफ टॉप लेवल. वेयर जो डे टू डे ऑपरेशनल है, that is given to the lower level. In fact, decentralization is greatest when checking required on decision taken by lower level of management is least. Means if you are not, आपका lower level इतना capable है कि आपको check भी नहीं करना पड़ता है, there it is the best. But yes, checking तो होना ज़रूरी है. It is not like we cannot go for the checking. बट येस, एक अच्छी चीज़ यही रहती है डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन के पॉलिसी में, दैट द लोअर लेवल मैनेजर्स और द मिडिल लेवल मैनेजर्स गेट मोर ऑटोनॉमी. बट आजकल एक और प्रॉब्लम आती है, और वो ये है कि ये जो ऑटोनॉमी है ना, इट इज़ ऑल्सो एसोसिएटेड विद व्हाट वी कॉल एज टारगेट बेस्ड. Today, if you go to any person working in any company, say a bank or a private company, everybody will give you one answer: yes, I am given work, but I have to, मेरा ये target है. And if you are not reaching the targets on time, then definitely you are going to lose your sales. They have to put more efforts, they have to put more energy. लेकिन ये होता है कि 9 to 5 के जॉब में आप मतलब कि you are sitting idle. In 18 hours job, which normally has in the MNCs, वहाँ पर you are working, you are bringing out your talents, and if your talents are really realized, you are getting a chance. So that is how centralized or decentralized से हमारा फायदा होता है. Facilitates growth, ये वही है जो मैं अभी आपको आगे बता रही हूँ. Decentralization awards greater autonomy to the lower level as well as divisional or departmental health. This allows them to function in a manner best suited to their department and fosters a sense of competition among the departments. Consequently, with each department doing best in a bid to outdo others, the productivity level increases and the organization is able to generate more returns. तो मैंने भी आपको बोला, everyone is now fixed with a target. Daily target, monthly target. Definitely सबको ये कि वो देखो उस डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर. And what happens is nowadays many of the companies are not only associating the targets, उसके साथ उन लोगों ने ना टारगेट बेस्ड इंसेंटिव्स भी देने शुरू कर दिए हैं. ये आप लोग डायरेक्टिंग के चैप्टर में पढ़ोगे. टारगेट बेस्ड इंसेंटिव्स भी देने शुरू कर दिए, यानी कि इफ़ यू आर अचीविंग योर टारगेट 100%, तो यू आर गोइंग टू गेट एन इंसेंटिव ऑफ 100%. 100% का मतलब होता है वॉट एवर योर बेसिक सैलरी इज, वो आपको पूरा मिल जाता है. Whereas if you are achieving 50%, तो आपको 50% मिलता है. एंड ये जो टारगेट बेस्ड मतलब कि जो इंसेंटिव्स होते हैं ना, इट इज़ बेस्ड ऑन द डिपार्टमेंट्स. कभी भी आप किसी भी कंपनी का मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटजी निकालना, किसी भी कंपनी का निकालना, आप देखोगे हमेशा मार्केटिंग वाला 200% ले जा रहा है, HR 200% ले जा रहा है, लेकिन बाकी डिपार्टमेंट्स 100%, 70%, 80% जो इंसेंटिव दिया जाता है. In many of the companies, the marketing departments, the sales department are given, extravagant life. उनको घूमने के लिए बाहर भेजा जाता है. With the entire team, they go out. So definitely दूसरे लोग कहते हैं यार उस वाले टीम को तो इतना मिला है, तो we have to work. So this is how the competition is built. And that has also resulted in one problem कि मेरा हर दूसरा बच्चा जो MBA करता है वो मुझे कहता है कि मैम मेरे को तो MBA करना है, तो किस में करना? मैम मार्केटिंग में करना है. Every second person wants to go for marketing or every second person wants to go for HR. Nobody wants to go for finance. This is because there is a stiff competition. But competition में फ़ायदा क्या होता है? Competition में फ़ायदा होता है organization को. That's the one. Better control. Because autonomy है, तो it is easy to evaluate the performance at each level. आपका जो है फिक्स कर दिया गया है. This is your responsibility, this is your authority and this is your accountability. तो आपकी accountability जब फिक्स कर दी गई है तो आपका परफॉर्मेंस वहीं पर चेक हो जाता है. And the departments can be individually held accountable for their results. The extent of achievement of organizational objectives as well as the contribution of each department, जो मैंने भी आपको बताया, in meeting the overall objectives can be ascertained. Feedback from all the levels helps to analyze variances and improve operation. In decentralization, one of the challenges is accountability of performance. In response to this challenge, better control systems are being evolved, such as balance scorecard, management information system. ये जो management information system है, this is completely a subject in our MBA, MIS. Decentralization compels the management to innovative performance measurement scheme. जो भी मैंने आपको बताया कि in some of the companies they are target based, उनको incentives दिए जाते हैं. In some of the companies, they may not be provided with the financial, they may be provided with certain other benefits. As a conclusion, it must be noted that in spite of its benefit, decentralization should be applied with caution as it can lead to organization disintegration. क्योंकि अगर सब लोग अपनी मर्जी से चलेंगे तो maybe it is not in the interest of the organization. Decentralization must always be balanced with centralization in areas of major policy decisions. Now we will be first of all studying this case study. The McNeil name has been associated with manufacturing and sale of pharmaceutical products in 1879, when McNeil opened his first retail drug outlet in Pennsylvania. Growing as a producer of prescription pharmaceuticals, it was incorporated, became the member of Johnson & Johnson's family of companies. In 1959, McNeil Consumer Health began operations in Canada in an existing administrative Johnson & Johnson. McNeil Consumer Healthcare, कंज्यूमर का मतलब होता है where you are not having the non-prescription, यानी कि वो दवाइयाँ जो हमारी OTC पे मिल जाती हैं on the counter. An important difference between Johnson & Johnson and most other companies is concept of decentralized management. Instead of operating as one large multi-billion dollar corporation, Johnson & Johnson is operating as 190 smaller companies. मतलब है वो उसी का, लेकिन उन्होंने उसको छोटे छोटे हिस्सों में बांट दिया on a specific medical or product franchise. मतलब जैसे आपने देखा होगा जॉनसन एंड जॉनसन जो है नॉन मेडिकल में क्रीम भी बनाता है. It is or geographical area with each affiliate generating multiple options for growth. Through decentralization, we combine the advantage of being big. कंपनी बड़ी है लेकिन उसके जो डिपार्टमेंट छोटे कर दिए हैं. It enables each company to stay close to its customer, maintain short lines of communication with customers and employees, and accelerate the development of brand. The Johnson & Johnson Merck Consumer Pharmaceutical Company also operates from our Woodlawn Road facility in Guelph. Now, ये आपका important है, that is delegation and decentralization में difference. ये question कैसे आ सकता है? First of all, you may be given a case study where you may be asked to identify the element of a function. It is a concept of a function, an important concept of a function. Function organizing है, उसके अंदर concept हमारा delegation या decentralization है. Then maybe you may be asked to, मतलब अगर 6 marks में आता है तो उसमें आपका second question हो सकता है differentiate between both the concepts on the basis of, या it can be a direct question, it has come, दोनों तरह से आए हुए हैं. इस पर्टिकुलर पूरे मतलब कि ऑर्गेनाइजिंग में ऑर्गेनाइजिंग प्रोसेस, डिफरेंस बिटवीन फॉर्मल इनफॉर्मल, डिफरेंस बिटवीन डेलीगेशन डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन, देन वन क्वेश्चन विच आई विल बी व्हेन वी आर डूइंग द असाइनमेंट वी विल बी डूइंग, तो वो, एंड देन ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर, वो मतलब इन पर आपके मैक्सिमम बड़े क्वेश्चंस आते हैं 4 to 5 में. डेलीगेशन इज कंपल्सरी because no individual can perform all that. Decentralization is an optional policy decision. It is at the discretion of top management. कंपनी करना चाहती है नहीं करना चाहती है कंपनी, लेकिन डेलीगेशन में तो जो भी मैनेजर होगा वो अपना काम अपने आप ही दूसरे को बांटेगा. More control by superior, hence less freedom to take own decision. In decentralization, less control over executive, hence greater freedom of action. क्योंकि उनका पहले से ही बता दिया जाता है कि इस लेवल पे they are having this much of authority. It is a process to share task, whereas decentralization is the result of the policy decision of top management. It has a narrow scope because वो superior और subordinate के बीच में है. It has a wider scope because it implies extension of delegation to the lowest level. टू लेसन द बर्डन ऑफ द मैनेजर. डेलीगेशन का जो पर्पस है वो सिर्फ मैनेजर अपना काम कम कर रहा है. And decentralization, where the role of subordinates are strengthened by giving them more autonomy. Delegation is given by the manager, decentralization is given by the company. So that is the difference. You can see that we have some important questions which have come from this NCERT, and this particular chapter is from the new book. Old book mein there are certain differences, like identify the network of social relationship which arises spontaneously, informal. What does the span of management refer to? The number of employees which can be efficiently managed by a manager. Two circumstances under which functional structure, when आपका line of product आपका कम है वहाँ पर, where the company wants to focus more on functional specialization. Draw a diagram depicting the functional structure. It has come in the boards. और ये जो functional structure है इसमें आपको वो वाला बनाना है, this one manager, और इसमें divisional भी आया है. Then the company का कोई भी नाम रख लो, production, and this is a 6 marker question. तो डायग्राम भी ढंग से बनाना पड़ेगा. IT, accounts, marketing, ये वाला. And in divisional आपके ऊपर divisions आ जाते हैं, अलग अलग divisions आ जाते हैं. A company has its registered office in Delhi. Manufacturing, ये वाला भी बोर्ड का ही क्वेश्चन है, और यही क्वेश्चन आपको अलग अलग तरीके से you will be getting in different books. Like if you look into any refresher, the same question will be in different, because it's a question from NCERT and has also come in books. Marketing and sales in Faridabad. The company manufactures consumer products. Which type of organizational structure should it adopt to achieve its target? What are the steps? Elements of delegation. Then how does informal support formal? बहुत कम आया है. Can a large sized organization be totally centralized or decentralized? Decentralization is extending delegation to the lowest level. ये आपका important है. Then the next is Neha runs a factory wherein she manufactures shoes. The business has been doing well, so she wants to diversify into leather bags, western formal wear, जिससे कि अलग अलग corporate wear हो. This will enable her to market her business unit as a one-stop for working women. तो उनको कौन सा लेना चाहिए? Obvious, they have to shift from functional to divisional, क्योंकि आपका formal wear एक अलग है, leather bags एक अलग है, shoes आपका अलग है, तो they have to. The production manager asked, ये वाला भी क्वेश्चन पेपर में है, and you will find this question in all the refresher books. Has asked the foreman to achieve a target of production 200, but he doesn't give him the authority to requisition tools and materials from stores. Can the production manager blame the foreman if he is not able to achieve the desired? No, because any time authority, responsibility has to be delegated along with some authority. Then why is delegation important? What is divisional structure? ये पेपर में आया हुआ है. Decentralization is an optional policy. ये मतलब इसमें आपका importance बताना आया हुआ है. How distinguish between centralization, decentralization, functional and division. Then the next is give concrete which organization structure should be adopted in this situation. ये उसी वो जो पहले क्वेश्चन किया था ये उसी का मतलब की एक्सटेंशन है. The same is your advice to company with regard to change about the organizational structure. यानी कि आप देख सकते हो कि सभी क्वेश्चंस में organizational structure कितना important है. Then this last one again, it is about the organizational structure. So this tells that if if we are dealing with this particular chapter, we have to more emphasize on the organizational structure, decentralization, delegations के जो elements हैं वो. Very important chapter beta from the point of view of boards, as well as I would advise each one of you to go through each chapter very alertly, as CUET is based on all the chapters which will be coming in your boards. आपके जितने chapters आप कर रहे हो इन सब के जो आपके छोटे छोटे questions हैं which we call as MCQs, that would be part of your CUET. So while you are preparing for your CUET, this time 14 universities are there, but next time it is estimated that most of the Indian universities will be under one single unit. उसमें क्या होगा कि whether you are living in Delhi, you are living in Mumbai, कहीं पर भी आप रह रहे हो तो you have to give CUET, and the syllabus is going to be the same. So please focus on each and every area which I'm again and again repeatedly telling you. So this is the entire chapter, organizing.